Now let us try to develop a jigsaw puzzle using jQueryUI's draggable and droppable interactions. So as in a normal jigsaw puzzle, there will be some pieces and we have to join those pieces to create a correct picture. So this is how our jigsaw puzzle will look like. It will be having an image and this image will be sliced into 16 pieces. As you could see here, this would be the first piece, second, third, fourth. Like that, there will be 16 pieces altogether. And once we click the start button, these pieces will be moving to this section. And from there, we have to move these pieces to this section so that it will become a correct image. So let me try to do that just to show you how our jigsaw puzzle will work. See, I have placed all the 16 pieces correctly and we are seeing a message, wow, you are a genius. Now suppose I click the reset button and then the message will be gone and we are again in a mode to play the game again, that is to restart. So suppose I click start and suppose I place the pieces not in the correct order. Let me show you what will be the output then. If we do not put it in correct place, that is if we just move it and release the mouse, it will not be dropped here, it will come back to its previous position. Okay, and with this all the 16 pieces are placed here, but we are seeing ouch, try again, because this is not placed in the correct order. So this is how we are going to design our jigsaw puzzle. We are going to design this puzzle using jQueryUI's draggable and droppable interactions. So let's see how to design this puzzle. Now I have already saved a web page with name jigsawpuzzle.html and title jigsaw puzzle. Then I have also added the latest jQuery and jQueryUI files online. Now we need to have the elements first and then we will write the logic. So first let me have a main div element with ID container, and within this let me add two sections. As you could see here, we have one section to hold the pieces and this section is to join the pieces. So for this section, let me name it as pieces container and this one as puzzle container. Okay. So let me again add two div elements, div with ID piece container and the next div with ID puzzle container. Then after that we need to have button, right? So here you could see that there are two buttons. In fact, this is the first button with title or text start, and once we click the start button it becomes a reset button, because if we suppose I move the pieces like this and if I again want to see the whole image once again, then I have to click the reset button so that it will become a start button. So if you want, we can do it in one button itself, but to avoid confusion I am going to add two buttons start and reset, let me add it as an unordered list so that we can display them easily by styling them. Okay, so let me have an unordered list with ID buttons, because there are going to be 2 buttons within this unordered list, and let me add 2 list items within this, that is LI, and within this let me add the first button with ID btn start and text start. Again I need to have another list item, that is also a button, so button with ID btn reset and text reset. Okay, so I have added a main div element with ID container and 2 separate div elements. One is piece container, which is this one where the pieces will be there, and this is the puzzle container, and after that I have added an unordered list with 2 buttons, start and reset. Now even if we see this page, now it will just look like this. Okay, we are just seeing the start and reset buttons. Now let us make some styling so that we can set the width and height for the container, that is for the piece container, puzzle container, and also for the buttons, bullet points should be removed. So let us try to do all that styling using CSS. So here let me add the style section to add the CSS. And first let me access the container using its ID, so hash container, and let me set a width of say 850 px, because I'm going to set the width for the piece container and puzzle container to be around 400 px. Okay, then border to be 2 px solid black. To have some rounded corners, let me specify a border radius. This is just for styling purpose. You can avoid it if you don't want to have rounded corners. Okay, then let me specify a margin of 10 px auto so that it will be centered, and also let me specify a padding of 10 px. Okay, now let me check the output. See, this is how our web page is now looking like. Next we need to style the piece container and puzzle container, right? So let me access the piece container first. Hash piece container. For this let me specify the width and height to be 400 px. So 400 px, and also height to be 400 px. Then border to be 1 px solid black. Next let me specify float to be left, because I want the piece container and puzzle container to be on the same level, not one below the other. Okay, then I want to display the message also within this piece container. That is, once the game is over, whether it was a success or not, I want to display the message within this piece container. So let me specify text align to be center so that the text will be displayed in the center, and let me set the font size to be say 30 px. We will make changes if needed after checking the output. Okay, and to display the text also vertically aligned, a simple technique is that we can set the line height to be the height of this container, right? So I can specify line height to be 400 px so that the text will be vertically centered because of this and horizontally centered because of this. Now let me save this and check the output. See, this is the container. Okay, then we need to specify for the puzzle container as well. So let me specify hash puzzle container. For this as well, let me specify width and height to be 400 px, border 1 px solid black, and let me set the float to be right for this. So float to be right. Next, let us style the UL and then the buttons. Okay, so for the UL, let me specify list style type to be none so that the bullet points will be removed. So list style type to be none. Next, let us style the buttons. So let me access the buttons, UL button. For that, let me specify a width of say 100 px, border of 1 px solid black, then font size to be say 20 px. Then let me have again a border radius for this as well to have rounded corners, border radius to be 5 px, and let me set a padding to have some gap between the content and the border, so let it be say 5 px. Now let me check the output. See, this is how now the pieces, container and the buttons looking like. Actually we will be displaying only one button at a time, so I can hide the reset button for the time being, because initially when the page is loaded we need to display only the start button, right? So let me set display to be none. Okay, still the button is getting displayed. Why? Okay, it should be hash, not dollar, hash btn reset display to be none. Now let me save this and check. See, it is now getting displayed like this. Actually I want to display this button in the middle. So what we can do, for the UL element I can specify text align to be center, right? So that it will be centered. Now let me save this and check. See, it got centered, but the issue is that it is touching the borders of these two containers, right? That is these two div elements. So what we can do, for the button we can specify a margin top value, say 10 px. Now let us check the output. Okay, so this is how now our web page is looking like. We have two containers, we have the start button and the reset button is hidden. Next, what we need to do, we need to have the image here, and once the start button is clicked, these images, that is the 16 pieces, should move from here to here. So we need to write the logic for that. We need to display the image and also display it as 16 pieces and then move it to this section once the start button is clicked. We will do it in the next lecture.